Today on Uncommonly Good MTG, we're playing a deck called Zoetic Mess. It's an Azorius deck, which means blue and white. Zoetic because of the Zoetic Glyph, which takes your artifacts, your little tiny ones, and turns them into gigantic big boy dinosaur type guys. If that sounds good to you, then stay tuned to find out more. Hello and welcome to Uncommonly Good MTG. I am your host, voted by my high school class to be most likely to grow up to be Slender Man, Dr. Yukon Socket. Yes, thank you. Film before live studio audience. Thank you so much, Yukon Socket. Word to your mama. So I'm broadcasting to you today from my secret underground headquarters, and I'm bringing to you a deck I found over on the Aether Hub, posted by EdgarAllanPwn, called Zoetic Artifact Tempo Mess. That mess word kind of scared me a little bit. I just assumed he's just throwing a bunch of junk in here together, but I decided to play it. I thought it looked interesting. You know what? I've had some really good results in my early gameplay, so let's take it out and see if we can get this thing performing. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the cards in this deck. We'll talk a little bit how it should work, and then we're going to go out and we're going to crush some hopes and dreams. What do we got here today? We got dude that puts out an artifact. What is this dude? He's just a vehicle, but you could do something weird. Untap 3 creatures you control to put a Popo counter on it. All right, great. And it gains flying. This puts out an artifact, and if you got 3 artifacts, then eventually you could pay 3 to turn a non-artifact creature into a 4/4 bird with flying. This guy bounces back an opponent's something if your opponent has, usually a creature. If you give him a fish, it could be any non-land permanent. This guy puts out an artifact. This guy is an artifact and can potentially be unblockable for the most part. What do we got here? This guy gets bigger, has lifelink, and gets bigger if you put an artifact out by Popo, but then disappears at the end of the turn, right? This guy comes out. You can make the activated abilities of a source that you name. It costs 2 more. Otherwise, he's a 3/3 flying crew 2 vehicle. Bouncing back a non-land permanent. A 3/4 vehicle, crew for 1. This guy gets bigger. His power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. And when you get up to 4 for speed, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, you copy it. I've never seen that happen, but it'd be super cool. Sir Ginger is just a 3/1. You can eat him if you want to. If your opponent has a Planeswalker, he has Trample, Hexproof, and Haste. Whenever another artifact is put from the graveyard from the battlefield, you get a Popo counter on it and scry 1. All right, great. This guy turns one of your artifacts into a 4/4, provided he's in play. He's got Toxic 1. This guy turns one of your artifacts into a 5/4. And when it is put into the graveyard, the particular aura, then you discover 3, which would be anything from this column over. Yanling is a Wind Rider, and when it comes out, you put out a 3/2 vehicle token with crew 1. And all your vehicles have flying, and whenever a creature or a vehicle with flying does damage to a player, you draw a card. So a little card draw action there. This guy can come out with an artifact dude that has poison that can't block, and that's pretty much it. So what are we going to do? We're going to be dumping out tons of little guys that put out artifacts. Then we're going to turn those artifacts into big guys and using vehicles really for the most part. If we can get flying guys to do damage, we can draw cards. That's it. That's it. It's Old Faithful. All right, so before we go out and do our damage, let's do as we do every night. Let's say our prayers and talk about what is best in life. Hands together. Dear Black Queen Sholdred, who dwells within the dark chambers of my heart, please hear my prayers and grant your blessings as we attempt to crush our enemies, see them driven before us, and to hear the lamentations of the women. All right, playing against DaveGallaGaming. That's a whole lot of white. I shouldn't have picked it. Really need the blue. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, this deck does very well, but screw myself over with only having half my mana right off the bat. That is a bad idea. I think we're going to need to clue up here is what we're going to have to do. We are not getting what we need, which is a blue mana. Not that this blue stuff's going to do all that great. Nope. Wonder Twin powers activate. Blue mana. All right, got him down to 9. What are we packing here? 6? Back to your hand, my friend. And nothing else to do. All right, hopefully that's enough for us to win the turn on the next turn. 1, 2, 3. Trick or treat. All right, so we've got the ability to bounce one guy. But if it puts one guy out, I could still get around to win. I don't think you got it, man. You only got 1 mana. Let's just do this, see what happens here. And we win! You're trying to get tricksy. Not tricksy enough. Victory! All right, let's go against Devious Muncher. Keep. And so in, Crazy Legs. Or you're just going to kill him. All right. You going to kill this guy now? Yeah, now you're going to kill him. Each opponent, huh? All right, we're getting our speed up. Another Mu Yang. That's not particularly the greatest thing in the world. All right, well, this will draw us some cards. Let's take care of some business. All of them, huh? What are we going to get when we get up to full speed there? There we go. That's what it's going to be. All right, we still got a machine over matter. And that's enough to win. Winner, winner, victory dinner. All right, playing against astromobster. All right, I'm going to Gingerbrute. Just like to get those damages in. You get these guys out fast on this next turn. Allows us to bird up. Is that going to do it? Here we go. All right, these guys are ready to hop. Gotta pay for it, though. I'm always disappointed when I don't make the Gingerbrute into my Zoetic Glyph. Because then they just sit there and chump it all the time. And Gingerbrute's got this great evasion to it. Come on, don't kill it. All right, we're coming at him with the muscle. That's all I can do at this point. He's down to 4. We're rocking it hard. He can gain 1 life right now. He's run out of mana fast. I have the ability to bounce 2 dudes back. That should be an easy win. He thinks he could just... All right, what am I going to do here? All right, is that a good game? And good game. Touchdown, Lava Bears. Victory. All right, playing against Sakra 922. Sakra. All right, let's send Crazy Legs in there to go get them. Nothing you can do when you don't have any men out. Somebody's awfully proud of themselves. Go get him. All right. 2 per turn. Got a long way to go still. I'm wondering who's going to give up. That's the question. You're just going to block the artifact? No. Thanks, whatever this thing can do. What am I sitting on here? 6, 7, 8, 9. And we win. All right. Victory! All right, playing against Jslays. All right, so we've got a little bit of stuff. 3, we can play everything on our hand. See if he decides to block there. All right, we're full up. We just got to get to 3 mana. We can actually make a bird. I like flying boots. That was fun. All right, so he's down to 13. We got a huge advantage time-wise. Let's just hope that we can keep it up and he's not going to have some sort of super pump going on. Take my boot. All right, I can tell you, going for Gingerbrute's usually the right action. But I'm always going wide. And then I get burned for it. He's playing enchantments. Does he have another shard up there is the question. So I want to bounce it back so badly. I want him to waste, though. There we go. He's wasted. All right, let's open this up, full bore it, and take it in. I didn't mean to go after it with the Retrofitter. That was a problem. You got it. Oh, that is bad for you, man. Yeah, you should have jumped both guys in front of the Retrofitter at that point. Then I would have lost out on both those guys in the middle. And we win! Victory! Alright, we were playing against Zoetic. Alright, there you go. That sounds right. No. Alright, we got to get to 3 mana. That's our problem here. This deck doesn't like to get to 3 mana. We did get to 3 mana. Let's just take out the Lore Keeper's ability. All right, so now he's got to pay for the lore keeper. I hope that's the way it works. All right, let's pile it up. Not enough? All right, whatever then. Whatever. You think we require 2. Next turn. Ooh, sweet Jesus. I'm going to start chumping or something. I don't know here. I can try to go for the pump. That's a good place to be. Except for, okay, I do. Say, do I have any artifacts I can turn into guys? Like I do is just carve off a little bit and we can win. Is this guy going to play defense on us? I got a flying guy. You got to go for my throat. Yeah, Ramping and Rager is incredibly good. I don't think you got it in you, though. There you go. Neither do you. Victory! All right, so here we are with Zoetic Mess. I say that this deck kind of tricked me. I started playing it, and I was just cleaning up left and right. I thought this was going to be like a 100%er. And then when I finally did lose, it was not that big of a deal. It was close. I just kept going. And then it started to, like, I don't know, shake and shimmy on me there. I'd have to say, if anything, this deck is wobbly, which is weird. It's a weird thing. And what I mean by that is that sometimes you get too much land, sometimes you get too little land, which is weird. There's only 21 lands in here. So how can that possibly be? So I got to believe it's the shuffler that was out to get me, right? A lot of times you just get all your little dudes and you get none of like the retrofitters or the glyphs. So nothing that's going to make your little dudes big. It's just ridiculous. Sometimes you know, it's just, so you just can't get your guys out. You can't pay more than 2. And then you're trying to get your third mana like crazy. You can't get to it. But, you know, then other times the deck is just laying down like a mother trucker and you're just going to town and taking people out by turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 mostly. It was really good that way. Like I got a truckload of the crazy legs Gingerbrutes out. You know, that would be great. Still, just incredibly weird the way this deck did. It was a wobbly play. So anyways, I ended up getting 62% out of it. That's pretty decent. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze out. Just I felt like the deck, because it started so strong, should have stayed strong. And that was not the case. It just started up on a high wave and then started just going to just wiggling around like crazy after that. So be prepared. Be prepared. All right, let's get to it. Who is the MVP? Who is the most valuable player of this particular deck? Well, Zoetic Glyph is really where it's at because that's where your muscle comes from. And plus it's got Discover, which allows you to go looking for other good stuff. I liked it a lot. I didn't like there, depending on who you're playing against, Skyseer's Chariot could have been really great. I think potentially like the last game I played, I was able to pull down like a mana elf. I could have picked the dinosaur chick that made it so that it was almost impossible because they'd have to pay 2 to get 2 mana out of it. And I thought that was going to be fantastic. And it might have worked. The game was pretty much over pretty quickly, though, right after that. So we got some vehicles in here. The vehicles are okay. These lower-end creatures are okay. You're putting out tons of little artifacts, but it's all about dropping down with the Retrofitter, the Glyph, and the Filched Falcon. And you got a lot of them in here. But for some reason, even though you got a ton of them in there, trying to get them out sometimes doesn't work. It's just nutty. All right, but so I'm going to give it to Zoetic Glyph. I think your art's cool. I think your effect's cool. It's what makes this deck work great. The Retrofitter is almost just as good. Same with the case of the Filched Falcon, but I thought you were a little bit more direct about the situation. The fact you got Discover 3 makes you be the MVP for this particular deck. Congratulations. Number 2, was this deck competitive? Yeah, I mean, it had 62%. But I can tell you the way it feels. I feel like it's just barely competitive. I went on the ladder. I lost every single game on the ladder I played. There was no reason for it. It was like Arena just decided that I was not allowed to play on the ladder. Usually I try to play 1 or 2 games. I went through 5, lost every single game horribly. A lot of times I was playing against Boris enchantments. That was a big problem for this deck. Why was that? Because they zoom up quickly. You think, well, that's fine. You would just play the bounce cards to bounce them out as they have those auras stuck on them. They always had the ability to shard up, always. And I don't know why. They just happen to have the answer to everything I did all the time. That doesn't seem fair. That seems like the shuffler once again, just out to get me. So the deck does not deserve the hate it got in ranked. It should have done at least 1 out of every 2 games winning. 2 losses, 1 win. But that didn't happen. I think it should have done much better than it did. This deck has done very well in the past. It's got some new cards in it. It should have done good. All right, let's get to it. Was it a fun deck to play? Yeah. I mean, you had a lot of things going on. I like the aggro feel to it. You're dropping things down early. You had the ability to get out there with haste on your first drop. You're coming at people. If you can continue to drop those things by using the Retrofitter and Zoetic Glyph on turn 3 to get Gingerbrute totally zooked up, or maybe turning your tokens into little guys. Even with a little flying guy at 4/4, fantastic, right? You're able to just lay things down. That should work and does work reliably. But sometimes, like I said, this deck's wobbly. And a lot of times you just don't get the 3 mana cards. It just doesn't show up ever. That's just the way that Magic cards work, but still, it shouldn't happen like that as often as it seemed to work. So I don't know, man. This deck has a great balance to it, but it just seems like Arena hates it. So was it fun? Yeah, mostly. I'd say it should be fun. I thought it was great when I first started playing. The first 5 games, fantastic. Was this deck interesting? Now, that's the thing, is that I played it because I thought this thing was loaded with Aetherdrift cards. Let's just count it out. How many we got? We got these 2 here. We got 1 right there. Another 1 right here. So that's, 4 total. And then 1 more. So 5. Yeah, I saw that we had a bunch like an eyeball. And I thought, oh, that's great. But then it turns out that they're very, very few. Singles, single, right? So there's not as many Aetherdrift cards in here as I'd hoped for. Other than that, it's pretty much your standard Zoetic Glyph card or deck from the past, which you haven't seen in a while. It was really big when we had Ixalan out, with Aetherdrift coming in and with Aetherdrift having a lot of artifacts. I can see why we're getting back to there. I think we're going to see a lot of artifact decks in the near future. So we can probably go back into the older decks and start working them out again. And I think this was a good version of it. So I'm going to give it interesting marks because we're going back and pulling back old decks. We're zooking them up a little bit. But I kind of believe we could do a better job of injecting more Aetherdrift cards into here. So this is maybe a V1 version of it. I'm hoping we'll see maybe a stronger, tighter version of this going forward. All right, so let's add this up. Was this deck competitive? Just barely. Was this deck fun? Sometimes. Was this deck interesting? Yeah, it was. All right, so I'm going to give this deck an A-. It kind of disappointed me. The thing is, though, is it has a lot of good chops to it. I think that it should do well. It's just that, like I've said, I swear, it was just that bad luck coming back to get me. And it fought through it if it was bad luck, which was good. But still, I just left me with a bad taste. A- deck. If you decide to play with this deck, I hope that you have as much fun with it as I did. All right, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. From all of us here in the secret underground headquarters of Uncommonly Good MTG, have a great day. See you next time, Space Cowboys. Later.